This video's about choosing the right key light for your video production needs, getting the right skin tones and exposure for low light and bright shooting conditions. Does the new SmallRig RC350D have what it takes to deliver for your video production needs? Well, stick around after this short break for my full review. But first, please do me a favor. Follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, but most importantly, please subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost you anything, helps this channel get noticed, and keeps you up to date on the latest camera gear news and rumors. This video is not about the Ulanzi RGB Pro video accent lights behind me, the multicolored ones, nor is it about the low wattage Colbur CL100. This video is about assessing if the SmallRig RC350D can function as a key light for both low light scenarios like this studio or bright outside scenarios like this. While the Colbur CL100 that I'm using right here as my key light has more than enough power for this low light situation, shooting with the Canon EOS R5 and the 50mm f1.2 almost completely wide open. But when I'm shooting in Studio B where I do my live streams where I need much more light, the Colbur CL100 just doesn't have enough power. And that's where I use my SmallRig RC350D. And when I'm doing product video shots, I usually have it set at 60% to 100%. When SmallRig asked me to review the RC350D, I quickly checked the stats. 149,000 LUTs versus 98,000 LUTs on the RC220D. It has a fan that's hardly audible above ambient room noise, and SmallRig claims that it can be as quiet as 28 decibels, and my tests back this up. And being quiet is a key capability of any video key light or fill light, because when you're shooting, the last thing you want is it to pick up some sort of fan noise, some high-pitched wheel or low bass hum. When I was testing upstairs in Studio B, I was running at around 50%, and the dB level peaked all the way up to around 42. Now, to give you an idea, the ambient room noise was around 28 decibels. And while 42 might sound like a lot of decibels, from 6 feet away, you couldn't hear it no matter how much you strained. And looking at this chart here, you can see from the point of view of a fridge and other things in your house how quiet 42 decibels actually is. However, when I was shooting outside, I bumped up the intensity to 100 at 75 degrees Fahrenheit or about 24 degrees Celsius. And just like one of those Mac Ultras, while you could hear the fan with your ear up to it, again, I couldn't hear it from about 6 feet away. Even from 2 feet away, I couldn't hear it over the ambient noise, which outside was around 40 to 42 decibels. However, it did peak at around 58 decibels, but that's kind of the normal, decibel level for a conversation, at least around my family. In this scene, I used the sun as the key light and the SmallRig RC350D off to the side as my fill light. I had it powered at about 25%, giving my subject a soft shadow. And this softness was enabled through the SmallRig 85cm parabolic softbox attached using the bow and mount. And if you're shooting without any sort of diffuser, whether it be a softbox or an umbrella, I highly recommend using one. What it's going to do is it's going to take that light and soften it so you don't have any harsh angles on your subject. In your research, you might have noticed that SmallRig sells both the RC350B and the RC350D. So what's the difference? Well, the RC350B provides a lighting temperature between 2700 degrees all the way up to 6500 degrees. And what that reflects or represents or is able to reproduce is the lighting conditions from sunrise all the way up to sunset, all the conditions in between and that cloudiness. However, the RC350D, it provides high noon temperature of 5600 degrees. Moreover, the RC350D, while it's limited to 5600 degrees, is able to provide that light at a higher intensity of 149,000 LUTs versus 115,000 LUTs on the RC350B. But for best results, make sure that you use a video color balance card like Calibrate Color Checker, especially for those scenes without any middle gray. The SmallRig RC350D is well built, weighing in at 7 pounds. The cables are thick, attaching to the 350D, clicking into place. And the power brick has a separate cable running from the brick to the wall, but also clicks into place to prevent those accidental disconnects. And while I can't quite speak for continued use on the 350D because I've only had it for a few days, and I hate those reviews that come out talking about how great a light or any other product is, but these people have only had it for a couple of days or a couple of weeks at best. However, I have been shooting with the SmallRig 220B for the better part of a year, or maybe it's 2 years. And I use it in Studio B where I need to generate more light than the Angelbird CL100. And it's never let me down. It's never caused any issues, although the fan is a little bit louder than the 350D, and that's what I like about the 350D. It gives you more power, and the fan has a, how should I say, a lower frequency sound that you just don't hear when you get past a few feet. Now, for those of you that like to control your lights through a remote control on your phone, the RC350D has you covered. While the RC350D does have 9 lighting effects, if you're like me, once you've got this light set up as your key light, there really isn't that much that you have to control. I don't use those lighting effects. Basically, all I'm doing is adjusting the intensity, and once I've manually set that, I'm done. There really isn't any need for me to use the remote control. Now, maybe your workflow is a little bit different, so it is there, it's available, but I just haven't, I set it up for testing, but I never really used it because it's so easy to just adjust that knob and you're good. SmallRig says that the RC350D has a 96 plus rating on the CRI Color Rendering Index and a 97 plus rating on the TLCI TV Lighting Consistency Index. That, in combination with a Calibrite color checker, gave me accurate exposure and color rendition. The SmallRig 350D is more than quite enough and powerful enough for low light situations like Studio A here, or for shooting outside. And if you're going to be using a fill light like I'm using right here, I recommend starting off as a default at keeping it at 2/3 of your key light. But if you're shooting corporate videos, then what you probably want to do is match your key light and your fill light, so that way one isn't that much powerful than the other. What you might find a little bit different about this review of the SmallRig RC350D is that I'm talking about other lights. I'm talking about Angelbird and Ulanzi along with SmallRig. And the reason for that is I have so many lighting needs on this channel. I have a Studio A here, I have Studio B upstairs, and then of course I have my lighting needs for outside. I probably have something like over 20 lights, if you can believe it. And what I think is really important is that when I do reviews is to not immediately say, okay, I'm going to review it for 3 or 4 days, maybe a couple of weeks, then I'll get rid of it, put it in a box, and we won't talk about it again. I like to continually use these lights so I can talk about them and how good they are. Like the CL100 at $199, it's perfect for low light situations like this. But if I get upstairs into Studio B where I need more light, it just doesn't have sufficient power. But I can also talk about what it's like to live with these lights over time. Do they have any issues? Do they have any quirks? And the only way to determine that is, well, to live with them. So if you're watching this review some weeks, months, or even years after I've published it, and you have some questions, go ahead and publish or post your question in the comment section down below, because I continue to review the comments looking for questions to give you some help, give you answers to those questions you're looking for. And if you're interested in purchasing the SmallRig RC350D or B, then consider using my affiliate links down below for Adorama and B&H. Or you can purchase directly from SmallRig using the link in the description down below. And if you want to stay up to date on all the latest camera gear news and rumors, then go ahead and follow me on Twitter, formerly known as X. For all those news stories that aren't quite big enough to have their own separate video, those are the ones I tweet out there. I also tweet out sales information. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you again soon.